Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it may be for you, and welcome to another Heart-Failure Railway video. This time, something a little bit different than what we usually do. You join me while I'm sat at the table in the room, or the little workbench, and today we're going to be doing something a bit different. A little bit of an experiment, if you will. We're going to be modifying this Stonebridge Metcalfe kit. Why are we going to be modifying this Metcalfe kit, you ask? Well, that's a good question. The reason is because over there, you probably can't see that from the camera angle, but we already have one tunnel out on the railway, where all the trees are. You've probably seen it in the update video. However, the one that's going to be under where the town is has no archway. And because it's free tracked, there's no archway to go in there. There's no set archway, so I can't do that. So after some research, I'm going to take that there, that archway there that you can see on the picture. I'm not sure how well you can see it, that archway. Take it, modify it, extend it hopefully, so that it makes the gap there. It's more an expensive experiment, I will admit, with the kit costing £14.50. However, if it doesn't succeed, then it's no big loss. It's just a bit of card. It's not like I've gone out and bought a resin one for £35, £40, is it? So, the area in question, I'm going to put a picture up here. And as you can see, there's no actual archway there, it's just blank space underneath the board. So what I'm going to need to do is put the archway over, and that's where it's going to go. So that's where I'm on about. I'm also going to try and get the retaining walls done as well, which will be going here, next to it. I really hope that I've done my editing skills correctly and those pictures are showing, because if they're not, I'm going to look like an idiot just pointing at a random point in space. Anyways, so I'm going to crack on with this. I'm going to bring you periodical updates as I'm doing it, see how far we get with it, and hopefully it should look all right. But like I said, this is 100% a experiment. I've never done anything like this before, so it could go totally wrong at any moment, basically. So, let's crack on. I'm going to make a start, and then I'll bring you an update in a little couple of minutes. Well, a couple of minutes for me, but probably around about 2 or 3 seconds for you. See you in a few minutes. Welcome back. This is the first thing I've done. I've taken the archway out, as you can see, and I've put it over the track. And surprisingly, it very nearly fits, which is a bit annoying, but it doesn't quite fit correctly. As you can see, it is over the track here, and it's far too close to the track here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim down these end sections like that. I'm going to cut this in half. And I found these little slabs here on this detail sheet, which are actually some little tabs which go underneath. But I'm only going to be using one side of this, hopefully. And I'm going to use these with a bit of card to extend in the middle there. That was my wonderful finger. So, let's see how this experiment goes, shall we? So, after a bit of measuring and messing around, I have extended this to make it more like an extended archway. You can see I put some bricks in here. It's about 42mm. It didn't look like it needed 42mm when we first put it over there, but testing it with a carriage at different various lengths, decided this was the best, so I could put it on a slight angle, and also so that the carriage on the trains don't actually hit it as they go around. Because if they hit anything made out of brick, it's not going to be very good for the passengers, is it? It's not very good for the locomotives either. So, let me just go and put this on the actual railway. Not installing it yet, that's a different process, but just testing to make sure that the carriages still go under it and get it into a position that I'm happy with. So let's go over there and have a look. So this is the position that the tunnel arch will be in. I've got one of our longer carriages here, which is just demonstrating the fact that there's plenty of room under there for it to go under there. So we don't have any catchment coming around there, which is nice and easy. It flows easily. Oh dear, I've lost that now. Give me a second. So that means that we don't have, just knocked it over, well done Will. We don't have any catchment air problems on that side. I'm going to build it flush up to this backboard as a measurement, so that's always good. There's a little bit of top work to do, but that's not a problem. If I put this carriage on the very inside line, which is very unlikely these carriages will ever be on because of the sharp gradients of the curves. Come on you get. One of your wheels is off there. Front one there. Alright, there we go. So, even though these carriages won't be running on this inside line very often because of the curve, I wanted just to test, just to make sure that they did go around still, like so, without catching it, which is what we want. So that's perfect. Well, it's a bit perfect. Now I'm going to build a little bit of an interior structure just to hold it in place and get it installed. So I'm going to be building something to hold it to the backboard here. I don't know if I'm going to be gluing this down. You can see there's a little bit of cork down there just sat on there. That needs a fixing as well. And then the idea is that we get this installed somehow. I'm going to have to put something over the top here. I may have to do a little bit of plaster work and card work, which should be fun if we do that. So I'll crack on, see what I can do. So here I've done some bolstering with some spare card. So I put some sides in here. What I did is on the inside here, I used some of these here. So these archways, I cut them down, trimmed them down, leaving enough gap here to shove this in here where I'm not going over the edge. So I left a few mil gap so I could fit that in. Put some bolstered card in here. Same on this side here. And this is the little bit of spare card I had here, just to secure the top on these two triangles, to make it all nice and secure, make it nice and sturdy. So the whole idea was to sturdy it up using spare bits of card. I've completely bastardized this kit right now. So yeah, I've completely destroyed it, completely not going to use it for anything else. It's not going to make anything else apart from this. But I do have quite a lot of spare stonework and that, which I could use elsewhere eventually down the line. So I'm going to save it. This will soon be going over there, getting it onto the railway for testing. Just going to wait for the glue to dry. We'll put it on the railway and see how it looks. So here it is, and it fits. I've put some more card on the top to fill the gap up. Bit of careful measuring. Also, there's some on the inside, which I've just stuck to the inside on both sides. You can't really make out the other side. Just to give it the illusion that the tunnel actually does continue. It doesn't just go straight to wood. It does actually make a bit of a difference when you're looking at an angle. From here, not so sure how I can pick that up, but it makes it look like an actual tunnel. So now the next part is to get this retaining wall in, and then measure it all up, get it all sorted out, and hopefully with the retaining wall in, I'm going to have to somehow connect it to this bit here. I'm not quite sure how to do that. And then get a wall on top and make it all look nice and make it all look nice and fancy. So I'm going to start the retaining wall kit, which is somewhere buried under here somewhere. I'll find all the pieces in a minute. And then I'm going to continue. But that is my homemade, well, not homemade. I took a Metcalfe kit from a bridge and made it into a tunnel arch. And it does work. The trains are quite happy under there. It's all measured nicely. The trains run with about 2 to 3 mil clearance, which is plenty enough. Trust me, there's some tunnels on the UK railway network where there's less clearance than that in scale feet. I'm not quite sure that works out in scale feet, so if you do know, please tell me. So, yeah, it's all working. So now I'm going to crack on with the retaining wall, and then we'll come back and we'll start by getting the retaining wall in. And once that's done, we can continue with the top sections. Right, so we've done some retaining walls. We've got 3 of them in here. I've got another one to put here, which should fill this gap quite nicely. And I'm going to put a little bit of stonework here just to finish it off the station edge. Just seeing how far that's going to go. So my idea is as you can see from here, it comes out a little bit further from the edge of the tunnel entrance. And then I'll put some card or something here when I'm doing this scenery up here later on. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make all this eventually, including the tunnel entrance, one big section. So I'm going to glue it all together with the ability to lift it out. The reason why you're lifting it out is so that if anything ever goes wrong underneath there, I can lift that out and lift the baseboard up and get to it. Also allows me access to get under there for when I do the wiring for any lights in there. Because all this board's here as they lift up. So like our scenery sections over here, this is going to lift out like the unit. The station also does lift out. I just don't do it very often because it's quite delicate. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to attach it all together. I'll probably use some card at the back to bolster between the sections, just to give it a bit more added strength. So it's looking good so far. So I'm going to continue on with doing this last one in here and getting this section in here, which that might just be freestanding yet. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing with that yet. I'll see what happens. And then I'll get working and getting it all one big unit. Once it's all one big unit, then I can put the walls on the top so I know it's all secure and it's all in one section. Whew, this is going to be an interesting afternoon. It's absolutely gorgeous weather outside and I'm stuck inside doing card kits because I'm apparently sad. Anyways, I'm going to continue on with this. So back in a few seconds with another update. So back in a bit, and hopefully the next time you should join us, this should be in. I say that. And then a wall should be on top, or it should at least be one unit. So let's skip ahead. So here they are, the retaining wall sections, all four finished. They're upside down, as you can see. And that's because what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach some cardboard across all of them to make them one solid unit so they're all stuck together. Now, because we've only got that over there to fill, we don't want it on the top. We want to do it on the bottom so it's hidden underneath the baseboard. So what I'm going to do now is cut some strips of card, so just some old card, which I'm not going to use anymore. Some scrap card, doesn't really matter. As long as it's strong, it doesn't need to be seen. You know, it's not going to be seen by anybody. The only person who's going to see it is me when I lift it off when needed. It just needs to be there for structural support, so I can attach these all together. If you're putting these against a baseboard or backboard and you want them permanent, I'd recommend permanently gluing them against a backboard. If not, you can always put strips underneath or on top, depending on what you want to do. You can play around with these sort of kits, that's what I like about them. So I'm going to put some card on it to attach it all together, and then we'll see how that looks in a few minutes. So here it is. I've bonded the tunnel and the entrance together. As you can see the back, I put strips on the back to strengthen it, and I've got some little things here which I've measured the angle, using the measurements of the angle so that I know that it fits perfectly. Once this has all dried nicely, sorry, it's just come out of alignment a little bit. There we go. Once this has dried all nicely, it should be nice and strong on the right angle and should fit perfectly in the gap. So it's going to take a while for this paint, it's not paint, for the glue to dry. So I'm going to go off, have a cup of tea, like a good British person, maybe have some lunch, and then come back when the glue has dried to get it on the railway and to make sure that it all fits and do some finishing touches. So I'm off for a cup of tea, guys. How do you take your tea? Milk and sugar? No milk? Don't know. If anybody wants a cup of tea, pop on round. I'll put kettle on. Speaking of kettle, I can hear it boiling, so I'll be back soon once this has dried. So it's finally been put on. It's not yet fully finished, obviously. Still got the top layer to do. Here is the Edward Thompson pulling some backman carriages around, just to test out the gradient and make sure that everything's fine. It is, seems alright. Now all's glued and it's dried. Here she comes around. She's one of my longer locomotives. In fact, I think she's one of my longest steam locomotives. So she is perfect for testing it, and under she goes with just enough room to spare, which is perfect. So now I've got to find a way to plug this gap, and I've got to put the walls on the top and make it look all pretty and nice. So let's get on with that. So here we go. We have put the walls on the top. Those are the ones with the little squares in there, and I've used the capping stones from the other kits so that it matches the walls along here. So I've got a bit of matching going on. We've got this plinth, which was in the kit that I've put all along the way and across the tunnel mouth. And I've made this. It's just like a little pillar, which looks like it supports the retaining wall as well as the back wall for the station there. It hides that gap really well. All that's done is I've glued that onto here like that, so that's going to stay part of the station. And put like a decorative thing on top there to make it look nice. Yeah, and then we've got Edward Thompson going around, who's just pulling that train around, testing out the track. So yeah, that's going to be really nice. That I'm quite impressed. It was an experiment to get that tunnel arch done. I never thought it would work, since we used a bridge kit from Metcalfe and we've used the retaining walls. So I know it's been a bit of a different type of video, doing a different type of card kit, but thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it and seen what I've done. As usual, I would ask you to like, comment and subscribe if you really want. And hopefully I'll be bringing you more stuff like this as I develop more stuff in the actual town with the Metcalfe kits. But now, for the first time ever, there are no supports seen on Hartfield Railway. It's all been covered up. The entire top section's been covered up. And I'm really quite happy with this. I'm thinking I might have a bit more platform coming around here. I'm not quite sure yet. We'll do that in another video. But for now, let's ask you all to take care, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.